Jai Gaur Premanandi. Can I have a book also?
Yes.
Is it possible? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You don't have a book. Yanta pravishya mama vacha mamam prasuptam sanjivayadaki. О, я другую хотел. Ям правраджантам анупетам апета критьям двайпаяна вирахакатара аджухава путрети танмаятайотараво винедустам сарвабхута хридаям муниманатосми. Ям сарвабхутам акилам шутисарамекам адьятмадипа атити тиршатотамондхам самсаринам карунаяха пурана гухьям ям сарвабхута хридаями курурмунинам нараянам намаскритя нарам чайва нароттамам девим сарасвати вьясам тато джаямудирает нашта праеша бадришу нитям бхагавата севая бхагаватютама шлоке бхактир бхавати найштики. Намаом Вишну Падая Кришна Прештая Бхутале Шримати Бхакти Веданта Свами Нити Намине Намасте Сарасвати Деви Гауравани Прачарине Нирвишеша Шуньявади Паштатяне Шатарине Агьянати Мирандасya Гьянанджана Шалакая Чакшурун Милитам Йена Тасмай Шри Гураве Намаха Шри Чайтanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Jinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Shrestvam Manumapi Shachi Putramatra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Grajam Rupurim Madhurim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratida Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi. Hare Krishna. Good morning. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam today, from the 4th canto, chapter number 27th, which is entitled Attack of Chandavega on the city of King Puranjana and the character of Kalakanya. The two stories are told in this chapter, particular chapter. So we will read the verse. First we will read the word for word. Yukteshu, to beneficial activities. Evam, thus. Pramattasya, being inattentive. Kutumba, to kith and kin. To kith and kin. Asakta, attached. Chetasaha, consciousness. Asasada, arrived. Saha, that. Vai, certainly. Kalaha, time. Yaha, which. Apriyaha, not very pleasing. Priya Yoshitam, for persons attached to women. Yukteshvevam pramattasya. Yukteshvevam pramattasya. Kutumba sakta chetasaha. Kutumba sakta chetasaha. Asasada savaikalo. Asasada savaikalo. Yo apriya priya yoshitam. Yo priya yaha apriya priya yoshitaha. Anybody else wants to chant?
Yukteshvevam pramattasya.
Yukteshvevam pramattasya.
Kutumba sakta chetasaha. Asasada savaikalo. Yo priya priya yoshitam.
Yo priya priya yoshitam.
Yukteshvevam pramattasya. Kutumba sakta chetasaha. Asasada samakalo. Yo priya priya yoshitam.
Yo priya priya yoshitam.
Yukteshvevam pramattasya.
Yukteshvevam pramattasya.
Kutumba sakta chetasaha.
Kutumba sakta chetasaha. Sasada savaikalo. Yo priya priya yoshitam. Commentary or translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Thus King Puranjana, being attached to fruitive activities, karma kandya, as well as kith and kin, and being obsessed with polluted consciousness, eventually arrived at that point, not very much liked by those who are overly attached to material things. Purport. In this verse, the words Priya Yoshitam and Apriyaha are very significant. The word Yoshit means woman, and Priya means dear or pleasing. Death is not very much welcome for those who are too much attached to material enjoyment, which culminates in sex. There is an instructive story in this regard. Once, when a saintly person was passing on his way, he met a prince. the son of a king, and he blessed him, saying, "My dear prince, may you live forever. Raja Putra Chiranjiva." The sage next met a saintly person and said to him, "Muni Putra Mahajiva." No, what was that? "You may either live or die. Jivova Marova." Eventually the sage met a brahmachari devotee and he blessed him, saying, "Muniputra Mahajiva, my dear devotee, you may die immediately." Finally the sage met a hunter or a butcher and he blessed him by saying, "Na Mahajiva Mamaraha, neither live nor die." The point is that those who are very sensual and are engaged in sense gratification do not wish to die. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining why the death, the Kalakanya, was not welcome, is not welcome by people. And we will discuss by whom she is not welcome. Generally, Prince has enough money to enjoy his senses. Therefore, the great sage said that he should live forever. For as long as he lived, he could enjoy life. But after his death, he would go to hell. Since the brahmachari devotee was leading a life of severe austerities and penances in order to be promoted back to Godhead, the sage said that he should die immediately, so that he need not continue to labor hard and could instead go back home, back to Godhead. Actually, Srila Prabhupada is very liberally commenting on this particular point about the brahmachari devotee. He calls him brahmachari devotee, although originally he's Muniputra, which means that he was doing austerities in order to, we don't know in order to do what, but he was following the yogic path, and most probably his goal was to reach the Tapaloka, which is above Svarga. But sometimes that can be called also going back home, because that's, on one hand, that's also kind of a liberation, a kind of moksha in a way. And on the other hand, according to Srila Sanatana Goswami, when the soul gets to the Tapaloka, to the higher planets, Tapa, Jana, what's that? Maharloka, Maharjana, Tapas, and Satya, then that soul can meet the Supreme Lord there. It's highly possible. So therefore, sometimes that goal can also be called going back home, back to Godhead, because it's very much connected with the Vaikuntha plane. So, but Srila Prabhupada, I believe that in order, I don't know why, but probably in order for us not to deviate our attention, he puts it in this way, that he was a devotee who was just about, but still there is little difference between this character and the last one. I mean, not the last one, the next one, because the next one is the sage, not the sage, but the, what was that, a saintly person. Yeah. A saintly person may either live or die, for during his life he is engaged in serving the Lord, and after his death he also serves the Lord. So this is actually devotee. And brahmachari here means the one who is doing austerities in order to get somewhere. So that's the difference that between the devotee and an austere person. Devotee means that one who serves the Lord. He serves here, he will serve the Lord next life or whatever, wherever he goes. Svarga, Pavarga, Narakeshu. It doesn't matter for a devotee. So that's means pure devotion. And brahmachari devotee is not a pure devotee. That's the point. So now you know everything. Thus, this life and the next are the same for a saintly devotee, for in both he serves the Lord. Since the hunter lives a very ghastly life due to killing animals, and since he will go to hell when he dies. He is advised to neither live nor die. This is the explanation of Prabhupada's explanation of what is actually good, what is actually beneficial, and what is actually benediction or a boon. I wanted to scroll that. King Puranjana finally arrived at the point of old age, and this is the point. This is the story, and we will speak few words. I will read the last paragraph of the commentary after a few minutes, but now I would like to give a little explanation of what is happening here, so that we kind of follow the idea and be able to actually get the lessons from that. So this is the fourth canto, and the fourth canto is dedicated to a specific topic, because we know that Bhagavatam is actually about only one. There is only one topic for Bhagavatam. What is that? Krishna and Bhakti. Bhagavan, Bhakti, and Bhaktas. When we say Bhagavan, we mean Barhapitam Natavaravapu Karnayor Karnikaram. But Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj, His Holiness, he will be speaking about that tonight. He will begin tonight. So he is going to speak about Bhagavan. Bhakta means whom? Radha Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanesta Dhama Vrindavana Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Kalpita. When we say Bhagavan, we mean Vrajesha Tanaya, Ainam Datanumja Kinkaram. And when we say Bhakta, we mean whom? Ramya Kachidupasana, Gopis. When we say Bhakta, we mean Gopi, nobody else, because they are the Bhaktas or Bhaktins. Bhaktin Radhika. And then when we speak about Bhakti, what do we mean? Ramya Kachidupasana, basically, same. The way the gopis serve the Lord. The unalloyed, pure devotional service in the mood of separation, like everything that. This is the 10th canto, in other words. So, when we speak about Bhagavatam, we mean the 10th canto primarily. But then, before that, we have several more cantos which are like introductory to that in a way. Because, the 10th canto takes 1/3 of all the, all the chapters and all the Bhagavatam. So why do we need the other cantos? And we know that these cantos, they gradually, step by step, they prepare our consciousness for receiving the 10th canto, to hearing the proper message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore there is a gradual way to go there. Atra sarga visargascha stanam paushanamutaya madvantaresha nukatha niroda muktir ashraya. Bhagavatam himself describes that. Shukadeva Goswami describes that. Actually, we will speak about different topics in order to come to the last one. And so the first topic of Bhagavatam is the characteristics or the qualification of the hearer, which is called what's that? Adhikar. Who is actually capable of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam properly. And in the first canto we see 3 examples, at least, mainly, generally, 3 examples of hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam. Those are, first example is the sages of Naimisharanya, who were listening to Bhagavatam with curiosity, with the jigyasu, with the desire to find out something new, some means to live their life. Basically, they didn't want to change anything. They wanted just to polish it a little bit. Okay, so if we have to do 1,000 years yagya, no problem. We can do it. We have time. How long the Mangalarati goes? 45 minutes. Wow, that's a lot. Oh, anyways, it's not that much. I can afford that. So let us do that. And they said, okay, we will hear. So they were hearing, but their desire was. And we may also come here for Bhagavatam. Okay, so how long it takes? 1 hour only? Okay, minus Jayarada Madhava, minus chanting verses, that makes like, okay, 40 minutes. I can survive that. Sometimes maybe he will say few stories, like maybe something about preaching in some other countries, maybe some logical, waving, some logical trick I will hear, maybe something interesting will be there. I don't mind. I mean, that's okay. That's very good, and that's one way to listen to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. The other one, the second one is the example of Vyasadeva, who was listening with very rapt attention, who was listening to his guru, to Bhagavatam basically, with the desire for self-realization. Jnani, he's qualified as Jnani in that case. And only the third example, and that is also possible, but that's not the fullest realization. That's not the way the Bhagavatam himself recommends us to hear Bhagavatam. So what is the last example, or basically the main example how we should actually hear Srimad Bhagavatam is Maharaja Parikshit, who was hearing because it was the question of life and death for him. Not even question of life and death, but it was the question of survival as a spirit soul, as a person, not as the body, but as the person. He knew that actually I have to serve the Lord. How can I do it when I'm dying? Mriyamananam, the death is coming, and it's coming right now. Just like here, it says that nobody likes death, but she, we would say, Kalakanya, she comes to everyone's life. So Maharaj Parikshit, he knew that he is going to die, and not only that, he knew that he needs and he wants to serve the Lord, and he wants to serve others by helping them to serve the Lord. That was his mission in life. He didn't want anything for himself at all. So only if we hear to Bhagavatam, this is the idea of the first canto, if we listen to Bhagavatam with this perspective, with this understanding, that feeling, from this position that I'm doing it not for my own sake. I'm doing it not because maybe something interesting there, but I'm doing it because this is my service to the Lord, and this is the way I can serve others also. That's all. I can serve the Lord, and I can serve the others, and this is the mood of the 10th canto. This is the mood of the Ashraya, or the Vrajesha Tanaya Stadham Vrindavana Ramyakachi. What's that? Arati Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanaya. Yeah, that's the mood of the 10th canto. So basically, we know about that now, and then the second canto comes and then describes different ways how to different sadhanas, sadhana tattva, describes how we can serve the Lord directly, indirectly, this and that. So basically the second canto answers like the main questions. So okay, so what is the duty of a dying person? The question that was asked, had been asked at the end of the first canto. The duty of the dying person is to hear about the Lord, to perform sadhana. So if we know that's the second step. Okay, I want to solve my problems and I want to serve. How can I do it? Actually, there is only one answer to that question. Savayam pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshuje. Ahaitu kiya pratihata yanatma suprasidati. Yayatma suprasidati. Means that, okay, you have to mold your life, you have to make your life in such a way that first of all you have to become master of your life, which is called Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction. You have to become the master of your life. Not that you follow whatever you're said to do. It's not that you follow anybody in this world. That there should be no authorities for you in this world. And there has to be only one authority for you. That is the Supreme Lord and the Scriptures. And if you have the Scriptures as the only authority in your life, then your life becomes sadhana. Because sadhana means the gradual progress towards sadhya. And if your sadhya, or the goal, is beyond this material creation, then you are sadhaka. You are doing sadhana. If you go there and every day you're doing progressive steps towards that goal, that is called sadhana. So this is basically what was described in the second canto. And well, basically that could be the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because all the answers are there. Even Vraja Lila is also described there. But because we are not yet ready to accept it like that, therefore Maharaja Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami are describing different obstacles which are there on our path to Vrindavan, in order to show us that actually we do have those problems and we have to solve them. And how we solve those problems, that's also there. So the two main lessons of all the next cantos till the ninth, including the ninth, is that there are problems, dear friends. There are problems. It's not that easy that you just accept bhakti process like this and then everything is done. No, there are problems, but you have to solve them. And so the first lesson is there are problems, and the second lesson is how to solve those problems. And that lesson is, the answer is there. In every canto, in every story, there is the answer that you can solve this problem, and there is only one way to do it, and you all know that, and we will keep it secret, because you do know that. So the third canto and the fourth canto are very important, because the third canto describes the mentality of a person who wants to live in the material world without God. The materialism, and the symbol of that that perspective or that position in this world is Hiranyaksha. First of all, there are several stories, but Hiranyaksha is the the personification of materialism. He says that I'm how you call it, the Lord and Master of all that I survey. I'm the number one here. And even acharyas, they explained that he had golden hair. Actually, and Hiranyakashipu also had golden hair, so they were blondes. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj says that probably they were the first representatives of the European civilization. So they were trying to manipulate the world like that. So like that, they were mining the oil or gold, doesn't matter, black gold, yellow gold. They were getting the resources from Hiranyaksha, he was getting the resources from the earth. And this is the mentality of a demon. A demon means aham bhogi, what's that? Siddham Balavan Sukhi, Ishvaraham Aham Bhogi, Siddham Balavan Sukhi. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna there explains what is the mentality of the demon. So this is the mentality that first of all we have to get rid of. So the third canto explains that actually when you want to practice sadhana, the first obstacle you get is that I want to enjoy and I don't care for God. Okay, I've heard that, but I don't care for that. And in order to solve that problem, Bhagavatam shows that first of all you will fail. In any case, like in any way you will fail. And that happens to everyone in this world. So even if you heard Srimad Bhagavatam and you're not interested, okay, first of all you will fail in any attempt. And the second of all is that still you can solve the problem of materialism. You can change your life. If you have some, imposition inside that, okay, I have to solve this problem, then there is a way. And what is that way? That's yagya, or Vedic culture. And so the representative or the personification of the Vedic culture is Varahadev, the one who shows that, no, everything belongs to me. I can do anything. You are not the Lord, I'm the Lord. I'm the Lord. So if you dedicate everything you do, yad karoshi, dashnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, then you can live in this world. That's the way. And this is not the ultimate answer to the question. This is not the ultimate solution to our, being turned away from the Lord, bahirmukha. But so then, because the fourth canto describes the next problem. Okay, and this is actually the topic we're discussing today. So the fourth canto is about the problems of the Vedic culture. Because the fourth canto explains a mentality of a person who is ready to follow the Vedic culture, but doesn't want to accept the 10th canto, or Krishna as the personality. I mean, I don't mind, okay, this world belongs to, at least he created it. Then what happened then? History knows only, like, he gave it to me. And so now, like people nowadays, they say, yes, we have to make peace in this world, we have to make proper order, like proper social structure, everything should be proper. And we can see it in European countries especially, everything is in proper order. But what is the reason for that? And what is the ultimate goal of that? People never speak about it. Like recently there was the coronation of the of the king of United Kingdom. What's his name? Karl? Yeah, we call him Karl. We call him Karl, but maybe it's in other languages also. Huh? Charles. Yeah, Charles. Yeah, you call. Yeah, you call him Charles. So Charles III, yeah. So I was watching a little bit, like for 20 minutes. I wanted to see how it works, and then the Archbishop of Canterbury, I believe, he was doing all the ceremonies, this samskara, and he was giving different paraphernalia to the king, and he was telling him all the time. So this is the whatever you take this, and it shows this is the symbol of that you are ruling the people on behalf of God. And then he gave him something else, so many utensils, so many things he was giving to him. And every time he would say, "You're doing it on behalf of God, doing it on behalf of God." And he was like, yes, but who knows? I don't know what he was thinking, because I'm not a spirit soul. I mean, I'm not a super soul. Oops. I'm not a super soul in his heart. I don't know what he was thinking. But although this is the tradition of monarchy, at least the tradition, but we don't know whether it's live or not. I mean, we don't know what's happening there. We can see by the results that people are acting like godless civilization, atheists. They all are like that. And Srila Prabhupada stresses that so many times in his purpose and his lectures. He says that the rulers of the world are demons, in the sense that they are not following the Lord's order. They are not following. They may be very pious. They may look pious. They may look pious to us, but they are not of that nature, unfortunately, especially in Kali Yuga. In other ages, there were Rajarshis, the people who were ruling the kingdom on behalf of the Lord, as the service to the Lord. But unfortunately, nowadays, it's not the case. Unfortunately. So this is the situation, and the fourth canto says, okay, I accept that there is the Lord, and He is the demiurge. He is one who created the world. He just created the world, and then He gave it to me, and that's the problem. And we will follow the rules. So what is exactly the problem with that? Okay, the Lord gave us this world, and we can live this world without any difficulty. We can live here, and we will be happy, right? This is the mentality. And then, so the fourth canto shows at least three main problems of this mentality. The first problem is that you don't know actually what's happening. And this is illustrated by the first story of the fourth canto, which is the story of Atri Muni. Sometimes people don't pay enough attention to that story. This was in the first chapter, if I'm not mistaken, yeah? The very first chapter, that Atri Muni, he was trying to figure out who was the Supreme Lord. And he was like, he was not sure whether that was Shiva or Brahma or Vishnu. And this is the first lesson, that actually the Vedic culture doesn't give the answers to the questions. The Vedic culture itself, without bhakti. That's the point. Without bhakti, if we just take the external cover, external form of the Vedic culture, it doesn't give the answers. And therefore, there is Panchopasana, that people think, okay, so who is the supreme? Whether it's Durga, or there's Ganesh, or Surya, or Shiva, or maybe Vishnu, like this guy, this brahmachari devotee. We don't know his mentality, but we may assume that actually, as I explained, he was not a devotee in a proper way. He might have been even Vaikuntha Bhakta, which is not pure devotion, in the sense of the pure devotion as it is, Anyabhilashita Shunyam. He might have been a Shiva Bhakta or Ganapati Bhakta. We don't know, because he was the follower of Vedic culture, and his idea was that I live this life in order to get better destination next life. That's the main idea of the Vedic culture. So here, and this the first lesson is that actually the Vedic culture is not giving the proper answers to all the questions. Okay, techniques are there. So you can live your life, you can do karmakandya, as Prabhupada says in this purport, but you will not solve your problems because you don't know the actual goal. Like if one follows the Vedic culture, He knows how to do, but he doesn't know why one should do that. That's the point. It's like the science, actually, the modern science. They know so many things of how to do things, but they don't know why we should do them. And therefore, when you don't know the reason, when you don't know the ultimate goal, then what's the problem with that? You don't have a ethical imperative, the moral imperative that tells you, oh, okay, so this should be done and this should not be done. Okay, you know all the techniques, you know how to live this way, that way, but you don't know which way to choose, and you choose on the basis of your karma. And this is why you always degrade. You never actually, if you just follow the Vedic culture, you will never make progress. It will, the picture will look like you are progressing. You are, going from Shudra life to Vaishya life, then upper, you go to Tapaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka. But then you degrade again. Why? Because you don't have this constanta, or this, constant idea of what is good and what is bad, actually. And if it's not there, if you don't know who is the supreme, and you don't have the supreme criteria of being wrong or being right, then you will fail. So this is the first lesson. And the second lesson of the fourth canto is that even if you follow Vedic culture properly, you're still in danger. It may happen to you. And the illustration of that is the story of Daksha. Daksha was the one who achieved the highest stature, or the highest position in the material world. He was like, what was the word? Brilliant, or what was that? Effulgent. He was effulgent. He was walking. When he walked into that place, everybody stood up. When we walk in, not everybody stands up. Maybe somebody who wanted to go somewhere for a long time, and then finally some situations that I can stand up and go. But he was in the highest position, and still. Actually, not only that, the story of Prithu Maharaj is also about that Vedic culture is very difficult. And although you may be the follower of Vedic culture, but it will be so difficult that you will fail eventually. Like Maharaja Prithu, he was doing all those sacrifices one after another, almost 100, 99 he did, and he couldn't do the last one. Because this is the lesson, that you may be trying to follow the Vedic culture, but you will not succeed. Because it's the second reason why you will not succeed is because it's too complicated. And you cannot take into consideration all the things, everything. So there will be some mistake that you will make. It may be very small, insignificant, but it will ruin everything. So this is the second lesson. And the third lesson, the main lesson, is illustrated by the story of Prachina Barhi, which is described by Srila Prabhupada in this beautiful purport, that the main lesson, or the main problem of following the Vedic culture, is that you will not just make any progress, that we discussed already, but you will not get rid of the material life. You will never get liberation from the material life. We can get to the upper planetary systems, we can get to upper position, whatever, become Brahmana, become whatever we want to become, anything, but we will have to go back. Patanti adho, like Bhagavatam says. Not about that, but same thing. That we will have to come back to the material world. We will never get rid of it. Because of what? Because the Vedic culture itself doesn't help one to get rid of the material desires. That's the reason. So the point is that we are here in the material world with a specific reason. And that reason is not to become happy. Maybe that's news for you. That's kind of news for me. Because I will think that, why? I know, quite often we're a little bit disappointed with this world. Or quite disappointed. Because we think, why I'm not happy in this world? Why the unfair things happen in this world? Disease, war, whatever. So many things. That is unfair. I lose my eyesight, I lose my beautiful hair. I lose my, young age. I lose everything. Why it's unfair? And it seems quite unfair because this is the material world. But we think that we should, get comfortable here. And so this is the problem of the Vedic culture. Even if you want to be pious, and this is the story of Puranjana, that this chapter describes that he was very pious. He was so pious that although sometimes he had problems, sometimes he went astray. Like we say in Russian, he went naleva. Naleva means astray, means that he was although he was a very, very good father, very good husband, but sometimes he would go to some strange places. He would go hunting. And Prabhupada explains hunting for women. Means that, and the meaning is that even if you do follow the Vedic culture properly, still you will have the material desires that will disturb you from time to time. Not actually from time to time, but constantly. But just sometimes it looks like I'm pious. So it looks like I have become pious, but actually the other side of me is always there. Therefore they say that this is one of the illusions that we have, and we're, as devotees, we're trying to get rid of. This is the illusion that there are good people in this world. Or another side of the same illusion is what? That there are bad people in this world, yeah. So therefore sometimes we say, oh, he's a very good person, and I trust him. This is a big mistake. Another mistake is to say he's a very bad person. I don't trust him. That's another big mistake. Because actually there are no good, no bad people. Lord Chaitanya says that this is what's that verse? Manadaram. He says that. What's that verse? He says that you have just invented that. The good and the bad in this world. But actually people are sick, diseased. People are not good, people are not bad, people are diseased. And if we look at this world from this perspective, that actually I'm not in a good place, I'm not in a bad place, I'm in a hospital. Is it good or bad place? Hospital. It's just hospital or jail. Is it a good place or it's a bad place? You can never say, because it depends. It's very subjective. It depends on the person who is there, who is under the control of that institution. If he makes progress, that is a good place. If he degrades, that is a bad place for him. So in the same way, if we, as devotees, we shouldn't look at people trying to judge whether they are good or bad. We can see the mistakes, because mistakes or even sins or big mistakes are the symptoms of disease. So this is the only judgment the devotees should have, that, okay, this is a diseased person, I'm also a diseased person. It's not that I'm good, it's not that I'm bad. It's not about being good or bad, it's about which way you're going, what's your direction, whether you're curing your disease or you are making it even worse. That's the only thing. That's the only prism that we should look at people and at ourselves also. Because sometimes devotees, they become depressed also. Oh, I'm such a sinner. I have so many material desires. I cannot practice Krishna consciousness. This is even worse than being proud. It's even worse. In Russian, they also say that this self. How you call it? Huh?
Low self-esteem.
Huh?
Low.
Yeah, self-esteem. Yeah, low self-esteem, and this is even worse than pride. Yeah, because it's just the other side of the same pride, that I'm such a good devotee. No, I'm absolutely worthless. Like one devotee approached Prabhupada, says, Prabhupada, I'm the worst. I'm the most fallen. I'm the most fallen. Prabhupada said, you're nothing the most. You're nobody the most. You're not the most in anything. Or like Radhanath Maharaj says that humility means not to think about yourself less, but means to think less of yourself. Yeah. Means that don't think of yourself less, just don't have this low self-esteem, but just make sure that you're making progress, that you're taking the medicines, that you're following the diet, that means devotee. So devotee doesn't mean good qualities. Devotee doesn't mean bad qualities. Devotee means whatever qualities you have, you are taking the treatment. That is a devotee. There are two types of devotees. One is a person who is free from any disease, healthy person. That is called pure devotee. Not even pure devotee. That is called Uttama Bhakta, which means the perfect devotee. And the other type of devotees is the practicing devotee. So we may be not devotees in the sense of we don't have this purity in heart, but if we are following the pure method of Krishna consciousness, that means we're also pure devotees. In the sense that we're following the practice of pure Krishna consciousness. And that means we are pure practicing pure devotees. Practicing pure devotees. That's quite a good identification. Very practical. Because when I identify myself like that, then I can practice Krishna consciousness. And if I practice Krishna consciousness, I get purified. And I become pure devotee in no time. Some 40 years, 40 lifetimes. Doesn't matter. It will be very, very fast. So this is the idea. And the story of Prachina Barhishat is that he was actually I will not go into details why Narada Muni is telling this story in this way. You most probably have discussed it many times. But the idea of the character of the Prachina Barhi, or Barhishat, another name of his, is that not Barhishat, Puranjan. Actually, both of them. The idea of Puranjana is that he was trying to lead a pious life. He was trying to be pious, and he was living in a proper marriage with his wife, who was the personification of the intelligence based on Shastra. So Puranjani is nothing but the personification of the intelligence, which is based on Shastra. This is very important to know. So Puranjana here is not just a sinner or something. He was a follower of Vedic culture, just like Prachina Barhishat. This is why, this is the last story, that Vedic culture still keeps the material desires in a person and the attachments. Therefore, one should not trust completely Vedas. That's it. That's the story. And as the result, like Prabhupada explains here, okay, you can, you will follow the Vedic culture, but you will commit sins inevitably. You are doomed to commit sins, because while doing anything in this world, you will make some mistakes. It's so difficult. And you don't know the goal. Therefore, you don't have the moral imperative. You don't have the criteria for what is actually right and what is actually wrong. And you will make some small mistakes here and there. Ultimately, you will fail. So this is what it is about. And here, in this story, in this chapter, what happens is that although one may be very, very pious, but when the old age comes, everything changes. Just like when the death comes, when somebody puts the gun towards your temple, towards your head, then what will you do? You may be a very pious person, but you will do whatever that person wants from you. You will do anything. And just in the movies that, like, hey, you tell me the password. No, you rascal, I will never. Yeah. He died for it. No, nobody does like that, actually. Whatever you want, I will give you anything. Because everyone values his or her life. And that's the highest treasure. That's the highest everything, wealth. Anybody will do that. And this is what happens when the old age comes. And the old age, same thing is happening. Okay, so what will you do? You wanted to enjoy? You cannot do it. So you try again and again. And Prabhupada explains in his purpose here that after 50 years, the body gets little weaker. Then he says that you have 2-3 years more if you want to try to enjoy. This is called the crisis of the middle age. Yeah? Usually nowadays it starts even before, like 40 plus. I don't know about women, but in men's case it definitely happens. And then one thinks, oh, what was that? Was that the life? I mean, maybe I should try again. Well, I just try once again, okay? Another family, another career, another hobby, something new, something I will change in my life. And now I will become successful because now I know how it works. You know, that family was not very successful because I was young and like this, unexperienced, but now I know how it works. So I'll get this and that, and the job also. Now I know how to do business. Now I will succeed. And it never works. I mean, there is sometimes, quite often there is an illusion that something works, but one is not fulfilled inside, because this is the time, Panchashordam Vanam Vrajet, Bhagavatam says that when you turn 50, forget about it. No active life, just Vanam Vrajet, Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means that you're not doing any social activity, not doing any business. Okay, you may be continuing, you may live with your wife, or that's about men usually. But you know, you don't have to make any progress in that regard anymore. That's it, that's finished. The body will not survive any difficulty now. So this is it, this is what happens here. And Prabhupada finishes his commentary. We will read it and then maybe we will have some time for questions. So Prabhupada, the last paragraph, he says, King Puranjana finally arrived at the point of old age. In old age the senses lose their strength, and although an old man desires to enjoy his senses, and especially sex life, he is very miserable because his instruments of enjoying no longer function. So I have been believing this Vedic culture for so many years. I have become, you know, so I have so many sons and daughters, like here, Puranjana had 111 sons and 110 daughters, which are the pious activities of his, but it also happens sometimes that people have a lot of sons and daughters. Oh, so I'm so responsible, I'm so important person, but no, that's it. The senses do not function. Such sensualists are never prepared for death. Prabhupada speaks from his own experience in his lectures. Several times I heard, he said, I had a friend in Hyderabad, he was 53 when he was dying, and he was pleading the doctor, doctor, please give me 4 years more. Only 4 years, I have to finish my things here, all my arrangements. Prabhupada said that's not possible. That's the point. See, the problem with the Vedic culture, if we follow it without bhakti, then the problem is that, and without bhakti means that we do not develop detachment towards what we're doing. So if we're doing something and we think that this is all in all, that this is all important that I have to follow this culture, life after life. This is what people, even nowadays people do it, like those guys in Russia and this part of the world, how they call the Anastasievцы. Yeah? This is their philosophy, that they're preparing their family in order to get birth in that family again. You know about that? They want to get birth in the same family. And this is why they build their house, this is why they have their land, they want to live their life after life. And this is the mentality, and this is the Vedic mentality. I will live according to the laws of this world, to the laws of God, but then I will just live here forever young. But it never works like that. So Prabhupada goes on, they simply want to live on and extend their life by so-called scientific advancement. Some foolish Russian scientists, that's interesting, some foolish Russian scientists also claim that they are going to make man immortal through scientific advancement. Science or religion or whatever. This is all failure. Under the leadership of such crazy fellows, civilization is going on. Cruel death, This is how the civilization is going on. We may have some illusions that, oh well, this regime or that regime or this economic system that will, make us prosperous. Prabhupada says, under the leadership of such crazy fellows, civilization is going on. Cruel death, however, comes and takes all of them away, despite their desire to live forever. This type of mentality was exhibited by Hiranyakashipu, but when the time was ripe, the Lord personally killed him without a second. Okay, so we discussed that the actual essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is the 10th canto, and that essence is going to be described in an exclusive way by His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj during these days, and we have this rare chance, exclusive opportunity to hear it from him, from a person who knows what he is talking about, a person who does it in a very mature and in a very chaste way, following the Prabhupada and Acharyas. So this is a great fortune. But in order for us to prepare ourselves for listening to such katha, we have to go through the preliminary cantos. And first canto was about how to hear, that we should have proper motive. And even if we have mixed motives, we have to do certain efforts in order to, at least when we're here, we stress proper motives. Okay, I may have different motives why I'm doing it, but at least this is the difference, this is the peculiarity, speciality of a human being, that when I do something, I am able to tune myself. That's the difference. This is what differs the man from human being from animals. I can tune myself. Okay, I have come here for the lecture. I'm not here to entertain myself. I'm here not to solve my problems even. I'm here just to serve. Just to serve the Supreme Lord and the devotees of the Lord. That's the only reason why I'm trying to come here. If we try like that, then there is a chance that we will get the actual benefit from the Bhagavatam. Then the second canto, then the third, and we describe the fourth canto, what are the obstacles described there. And the main obstacles described in the fourth canto are those of the Vedic culture, which is the ultimate goal is not clear. Nobody will clearly tell you what is the goal of the Vedic culture. The second is there are so many obstacles, so many minute details that you cannot follow everything. Even Daksha, although Daksha means what? The very name means what? Expert. Expert. He was expert, but he failed. What to speak about us? And the third main problem is that even if you follow the Vedic culture in all the details, although it's not possible, but still, even if you do that, and if you're very dharmic, like Prabhupada calls here, Puranjan is a dharmic person. He was a dharmic karma kandya. He was trying to do everything, meticular, how we call it, exactly, precisely up to the rules of the Vedic culture. But still, he failed. Why? In the ultimate sense, he failed. Why? Because he didn't develop any detachment for the material world. But he was very attached. And when you're attached to the dirty place, what's so good about that? You may be a very good person, but you're attached to the, to the garbage place, to garbage bin. So what is the use of that? Like, anyways, yeah. And then, and what happens at last? The death comes. The death comes and takes away everything. You were so proud, but you didn't have God in your life. And the death takes everything away. Hare Krishna. I was supposed